The 17 most elite military units in the Galactic Council had exactly three things in common: impeccable combat records, ruthless efficiency, and the collective opinion that humanity's acceptance letter was a clerical error. Commander Thralix of the Corthan Void Guard, a species whose evolutionary advantage was having eyes on stalks that could see around corners, watched the human team disembark from their shuttle with unconcealed disdain. The creatures wore mismatched camouflage patterns, carried weapons that looked like they'd been assembled by children with metal scraps, and one of them was chewing something with an open mouth. "They can't be serious," Thralix muttered, his translator implant rendering the words in flat, standard galactic. His second-in-command, Prill, adjusted her thermal optics. "Intel says they call themselves SEAL Team 7. SEAL, Thralix's stalks swiveled. Like the aquatic mammal. Apparently it's an acronym. Sea, air, and land. Thralix chittered, which passed for laughter among his kind. How charmingly primitive. They need three words to describe basic environmental mobility. Across the staging area, Captain Jake Mendez of the United States Navy surveyed the competition with the sort of casual disinterest usually reserved for high school career fairs. His teammate, Petty Officer Rodriguez, was indeed chewing gum, a fact that was currently offending at least 4 species who considered visible mastication a sign of cognitive deficiency. "Sir," Rodriguez said, snapping his gum, "is it just me, or does this whole thing look like a corporate trust fall exercise?" Mendez studied the obstacle course laid out before them. It was impressive by galactic standards. Towers reaching 100 meters, trenches filled with synthetic swamp matter, walls that shifted position using gravitational manipulation. To someone who'd done Hell Week at Coronado, it looked like a moderately challenging, fun run. "I'm more concerned about the zero-gravity section," Mendez replied, checking his rifle. An old M4 platform that had made the armorer on the council ship physically recoil. "Think they know humans get motion sickness? Guess we'll find out." The opening ceremony was everything one might expect from a bureaucratic organization that governed 12,000 worlds. Speeches, anthems, a holographic display showing previous winners. The Velcron Shrike Legion had won 14 consecutive times, a record they attributed to their species' natural ability to see in 17 different light spectrums, and their complete lack of fear response. Commander Velcross of the Shrikes stood at attention, her razor-sharp features betraying no emotion. She'd personally eliminated insurgent cells on 73 worlds. This competition was a formality. Then the humans were announced. Velcross watched them shuffle onto the platform, no formal marching, no synchronization. One of them, the one they called Rodriguez, waved at the crowd like he was at a sporting event. "Disgraceful," she whispered to her lieutenant. "They have no discipline," the lieutenant agreed. "This will be entertaining." The first event was urban infiltration. Teams had to navigate a simulated city, avoid detection by drone surveillance, and extract a high-value target from a secure facility. Standard stuff. Most teams took between 4 and 7 hours. The Corthan Void Guard went first, performing with mechanical precision. Thralix's ice stalks gave them an advantage around corners, and they completed the course in 4 hours and 12 minutes, a respectable time that earned polite applause. The Velcron Shrikes went next, their multi-spectrum vision allowing them to spot patrol patterns invisible to others. 3 hours and 47 minutes. The crowd erupted. Then came the humans. Mendez gathered his team in a huddle. "All right, here's the thing. These drones are running on standard council tech, which means they're using predictable patrol algorithms written by committee." "So we hack them?" asked Sergeant Miller, the team's tech specialist. "No, we just walk where they aren't." Mendez pulled up a datapad. "Watch. See how they all return to these 3 charging stations on a timed interval. There's a 12-second gap every 43 minutes when the northwest quadrant is completely blind." Rodriguez grinned. "They made their own dead zone." "Efficiency through standardization," Mendez said. "It's the most predictable thing in the universe." They completed the course in 2 hours and 9 minutes. The crowd sat in stunned silence. Thralix's eye stalks drooped. Velcross's mandibles twitched, the Velcron equivalent of a poker tell. "Luck," Thralix announced to anyone who would listen. "Simple luck. They'll falter in the Wilderness Survival section." The Wilderness Survival section took place on a moon with a toxic atmosphere, limited water, and predators engineered to hunt in packs. Teams had to survive for 48 hours while completing navigation checkpoints. The Corthan Void Guard, being evolved from desert scavengers, excelled here. They located water sources, built efficient shelters, and moved with practiced caution. Solid performance. The Velcron Shrikes treated it like a combat mission, establishing a defensive perimeter and rationing their supplies with mathematical precision. Also solid. The humans approached it like a camping trip. Man, this reminds me of Montana, Rodriguez said, sitting by a small fire they'd built from native vegetation. Mendez was cleaning his rifle. Except for the two-headed lizard things that want to eat us. Yeah, except for those. Petty Officer Jenkins was cooking something over the fire that smelled surprisingly good. He'd caught one of the local predators in a trap made from paracord and a bent tree branch. How is he eating that? Velcross whispered, watching through long-range optics. The toxin level should be lethal. Her lieutenant checked the scanner. There, cooking it. The heat is breaking down the molecular chains. Velcross paused. That's actually clever. The humans finished all checkpoints in 31 hours, spending the remaining 17 hours apparently just enjoying themselves. By the third event, a zero-gravity combat simulation, the other teams were beginning to suspect something. Either the humans were the luckiest creatures in the galaxy, or there was something else going on. The truth was simpler and more terrifying. Humans were really good at being mediocre at everything. While the Velcron Shrikes had 17 spectrum vision, humans had adequate vision across 3. While the Corthan Void Guard had articulated eye stalks, humans could turn their heads pretty well. While the Thraxian Stormbreakers had redundant respiratory systems for toxic environments, humans could hold their breath for a bit and call it good enough. Humans were the galaxy's ultimate generalists, forged in an environment that had spent millions of years trying to kill them with everything from predators to parasites to their own inability to synthesize vitamin C. The final event was a combined arms assault on a fortified position. It was meant to test everything: tactics, coordination, adaptability, and endurance. Velcross studied the human strategy with growing unease. They weren't doing anything revolutionary. They were just adapting. When the defense proved stronger than expected, they changed approach. When one method failed, they tried another. They argued with each other, made crude jokes, and somehow maintained effectiveness through what appeared to be controlled chaos. They're not following any doctrine, her lieutenant observed. No, Velcross said slowly. They're following all doctrines. Watch, that's a Corthan flanking maneuver. That's our suppression pattern. They're stealing techniques in real time and modifying them. Thralix was watching too, his eye stalks drooping further with each passing minute. They're learning. During the competition, they're using us as training. The humans won the final event by 17 minutes. At the closing ceremony, Mendez accepted the trophy with the same casual demeanor he'd maintained throughout. When asked for a speech, he kept it brief. Look, we appreciate the invitation, Mendez said, turning the crystal trophy in his hands. This was a good training exercise, really helped us understand council tactics. Training exercise. The words hung in the air like a slap. Velcross approached him afterward. Your species is either the most arrogant in the galaxy or the most humble. I cannot decide which. Mendez smiled. Maybe we're just used to being the underdog, ma'am. When you grow up on a death world where everything wants to kill you, you get pretty good at improvising. Your planet is classified as a death world. Oh yeah, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, plus like 1,000 different parasites. Humans are basically the galaxy's cockroaches. We just refuse to die. Rodriguez joined them, still chewing gum. Also, no offense, but this course was basically summer camp compared to Hell Week. Hell Week, Velcross's translator struggled with the idiom. It's a training thing, basically 5.5 days of continuous physical torture to prove you won't quit. That sounds, Velcross paused. Excessive. Yeah, probably, Mendez agreed. But that's humans for you. We're not the strongest or the fastest or the smartest. We just really hate losing. Later, as the human shuttle departed, Thralix stood with Velcross watching the viewscreen. They weren't even trying, Thralix said quietly. No, Velcross agreed. They weren't. That's what makes it worse. That was them not trying, and we still couldn't beat them. What are they like when they're actually threatened? Neither of them wanted to answer that question. The results of the competition spread through council channels quickly. Some species claimed it was a fluke. Others began reviewing human history, the wars, the survival rates, the sheer blood-minded persistence. A few, the wiser ones, began to understand. Humans hadn't evolved to be the best at any one thing. They'd evolved to be adequate at everything, and then they decided adequate wasn't good enough. They'd invented their way out of limitations, trained until their bodies gave up, and then trained more, and developed an almost pathological inability to accept defeat. The invitation hadn't been a clerical error after all. It had been a warning, wrapped in a polite request, delivered with a smile. As Mendes once told Rodriguez during Hell Week, when the older man asked how to keep going. Pain is just weakness leaving the body, and we've got a lot of weakness to burn. The galaxy was just beginning to understand that when it came to humans, weakness was a temporary condition, but stubborn was forever.